brutal fighters.
This is Mike, and you're watching Brutal Fighters. If you're bold enough to set foot inside a cage or ring and wage war with another man, you face the possibility of being rendered unconscious. That's a dark yet alluring element of this sport. And some of the best in the business have found themselves collapsed in a motionless heap on the mat. There is an assortment of ways to knock a man out, but in this video we're going to show you the most brutal punch knockouts of 2020. We've seen hundreds transpire over the last 2 decades, but those featured in this video spring to mind as some of the most devastating and memorable. The term knockout has a simple meaning. Any strike, whether it be punch, kick, elbow or knee, or even a slam, or a combination of strikes from one fighter that leaves the opponent unable to continue. The term is often associated with a sudden traumatic loss of consciousness caused by a physical blow. Single powerful blows to the head, particularly the jawline and temple, can produce a cerebral concussion and cause a sudden dramatic KO. Have you ever thought to yourself, how much force does it take to knock someone out with one punch? Then I must tell you, as little as 10 newtons, or around 1 kilogram of force can get the job done, as long as it hits the bullseye.
Unusual entries. He was being chaotic in his entries. He dipped his head to the side. He came.
According to my calculations, the minimum force required to knock someone out is very low and may surprise a lot of you. If a completely untrained person is punched accurately on the point of the chin with a bare knuckle punch, then a force as low as 5 psi can potentially cause a concussion. Many of you may be raising an eyebrow or even scratching your heads. Yes, 5 pounds per square inch. You heard it right. 5 psi can potentially KO a random untrained skinny guy. Another way to visualize the question is by simply thinking about what is the minimum force required to make your brain collide with the inside of your own skull. After watching these knockouts, you might ask yourself, how close to death are MMA fighters after being knocked out unconscious? The answer is not close. Getting KO'd and dying are quite different. To understand this, we need to understand what KO really is. KO is when your brain is overloaded with sensory information and is unable to handle all that information and therefore flicks a switch which shuts it down for a short period.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Serious power. The way he throws everything into those shots.
Snap kick from Santos.
Stevie Ray does like his Superman punch.
Throw that a lot. He was on it. That one. Oh! Right hook. Down that Sadiq got him.
Oh, but he just nearly out. Super Sadiq has arrived.
When you hit someone in a KO spot, you're basically underloading the opponent's brain because those spots are sensitive due to the presence of large number of neurons and nerve endings. So during a KO, the brain shuts down due to the vast amount of synapses it has to handle. On the other hand, death occurs due to a fatal injury, assuming it's a head injury. It would mean a grave injury to the brain. Due to the bleeding or some other factor, the brain stops functioning altogether. So, knockout is a sensory overload and the brain momentarily shuts down because of it, while death is a fatal injury. However, a punch or a kick or an elbow or any other form of hit can lead to death if it lands with enough power at the wrong place. For example, a kick to the liver can potentially lead to bursting of the liver, leading to internal bleeding and death if medical aid is not provided. Therefore, learn the weak spots of your body and learn to protect them. Having said that, there have been occasional deaths. They're rare, but they happen. And there have been some pretty serious injuries. Recently, for instance, Cyborg Santos received a legal knee to the head, collapsing some of his skull. It looks like he'll recover, though that easy could have been fatal. The more likely problem is concussions and brain damage.
Brutal fighters.
If you can believe it.
Oh, big right! The Korean zombie sets him down and trying to finish it early. Slips the shot, comes over the top with the right hand. And now he's raining down big shots, and that's it! First round finish! The Korean zombie is back! Wow!
MMA really hasn't been around long enough, and the techniques vary from fighter to fighter to really track concussions and brain damage. However, some current and past MMA fighters are demonstrating the same punch-drunk behavior that boxers became famous for. It's been argued that because MMA fighters use much lighter gloves with less padding, that the person they punch is more likely to be knocked out than if larger boxing gloves were used. Virtually all MMA fighters who are knocked out regain consciousness in seconds or minutes. So what's it like to be knocked out by an MMA fighter? Well, obviously it hurts. But what is strange is that you don't really acknowledge what happened until after. I mean, if you're not totally out of it, the body almost goes into a panic mode, where you forget how to defend yourself and just go into survival mode, if you will. So for instance, if you are knocked to the ground and the attacker is on top of you, ground and pound, it's feasible your body won't automatically pull guard or shrimp out of there, no matter how many times you roll and drill these moves. Trust me, it even happens to the pros. Brandon Schaub actually discussed this after his KO loss to Travis Brown on Joe Rogan's podcast a while back. How do MMA fighters recover so quickly? MMA fighters are ultimately humans. They have similar healing cycles and process to normal people. What you must take into consideration is that professional MMA fighters have their own teams, which include nutritionists, physiologists, and health experts. These people guide these fighters as to what they should eat and what exercises to do to speed up healing. The most important thing with healing is patience and lots of rest. Thank you for watching Brutal Fighters. If you enjoyed watching this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
That's it. He knew he had to finish and he got it done. Josh Emmett with a flush knockout. Wow. Do you?
So far, both of them look really
good. Big spinning back fist. Stephen Ocho Peterson